Hey guys, so welcome to my combo guide. You're gonna want to start here, obviously, and then I really like following up with this. And then of course you're gonna want to do a little. Next, definitely you want to on top of that put one of these bad boys, and of course you follow up with in the back row one of these, and then as necessary you just right, right. You get it? Okay. Thanks so much. Like and subscribe. Good afternoon, my Cracker Tugas. I'm MBT, and this is 20 Spirit Testing. A couple of weeks ago, a group of dedicated grinders met in Kokomo, Indiana, for one of the largest Elestrals tournaments thus far. Of course, because said grinders included the Elestrals and Trish, they showed up with some true jank in the tank. In top 4 was a deck that everyone pretends is powerful, but no one has yet to make work. Presenting Fire Nexus. Man, I keep getting to use that same clip. So here's the list, ripped from a Trishula profile on the Elestrals channel. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course the card by card. But first, if you've been compelled to casting by my videos, I've got great news for me! I've got an affiliate code in the Elestral shop, so if you're picking up cardboard or plushies, please use that link down there. It helps the channel immensely. Now back to the video. With that, let's fuck with Fire Nexus. Fire Nexus is a deck which scarred me early, way back in Prototype, largely thanks to this card, Kind Leo. Now nerfed into something resembling fair, this Elestral is theoretically infinite targeted removal. And in a world where removal has become fewer and farther between, that's an incredible sell. Unfortunately, despite having one of the best Nexusers of all time, Fire's largest problem has historically been that it's missing both something to Nexus from, and a receiver that's worth Nexusing to. Until now. Sort of. Daybreak released a few cards that resolve the issue for the latter. Rummikul is a more flexible Jolton. Argo plus artifacts on field can be Nexused from, but it hasn't yet resolved the issue of the latter. At present, the best thing we have to Nexus to is probably Ash Rabbit, which is good, but often just a whack-ass Dratagua. We'd all expected this deck would be nuts once the last pillar of unplayability fell, but it's even powerful prematurely. Let's go through the card by card. First, we've got Ash Rabbit, we've got Kind Leo, we've got one Lavalith, and one of the upsides to this deck, as Trish says in his profile, is it gets to play all the cards that are currently on the list natively. 3 Nekruff, a really strong Elestral, especially in a deck that is casting it for fire. 3 Rummikul, on normal cast this can search either a Stadium Rune or Stoke the Forge, and then gets +1 as long as Volcanic Forge is active, so usually this is going to be a 4-2. We've got 3 Edward, 3 Ash Rabbit, and 1 Earthquake. Then we've got our 2 Stoke the Forge, which if Volcanic Forge is enchanted allows you to search your deck for a 1 Spirit Fire Elestral and add it to your hand, and 2 Volcanic Forge. The short of it is that Rummikul is sometimes Jolton and sometimes Elemental Hero Stratos. For the runes, we are playing fewer than you would expect. Of course, we've got 2 Argo and 2 Necklace of Harmonia, the target that is also kind of good to just draw. Because of that, we're playing less back row than other decks, 2 PTA, 2 Tsunami, and no shield whatsoever, to make room for the aforementioned cards and 3 Altar of Stars. We're also on 3 Ambro, a Resting on Your Laurels, and of course, the Gaze. In the Spirit deck, we've got 2 Teratlus, 2 Zaptor rather, 4 Leviathan, and 12 Vipyro. Low Zaptor count relative to what I'm comfortable playing, but just be smart about it. So with that, let's check out a game. Our match is up against Earth Nexus, and God, I can't wait for Clash, just a couple short weeks. We have opened a banger opener, and we're going to begin with this copy of Ast Rabbit. We're going to go ahead and grab this Tsunami. I love going Rabbit for Rabbit, but in a deck with only 2 Zaptors, it's kind of unsustainable. Our opponent is going to draw for turn and then think a little bit. I mean, Ast Rabbit set 3 is pretty much the best open in Elestrals at present. Thank God for no Hurricane, but down comes a Thunderstorm and does snipe the Tsunami here. This is a card I think is going to get a lot more play once Hurricane forces people to play fewer cards in the back row. Firing off a Thunderstorm against 1 piece of back row can really net you an incredible advantage. They're going to go for Viscerous. We're going to activate PTA. Now, a hard Demeter here is a really big punish. It would force out the Gorgon's Gaze, and oh no, here it comes. Okay, so now because PTA has sunk the Viscerous by 2, but Demeter has pumped it by 3, it can get over the Ast Rabbit. So they are going to go ahead and go to combat, and this is a big think. I mean, do I want to invest 2 cards into getting rid of this Viscerous? I elect to. I think it's probably worth it, and we'll go ahead and pay it out as well. You know, it sounds like a terrible Spirit differential, but looking at our opponent, they're actually already at 14, so it's not so bad. We're going to go for the Nekruff here, and Nekruff just a fantastic way to get the pressure going. Of course, this does kind of lose to the follow-up Viscerous, and unfortunately, I don't switch the Ast Rabbit to attack position. I have really lost a lot of faith in aggro Rabbit now that Arcolith is absolutely everywhere. They're going to go for an Ast Rabbit of their own, and that's exactly what I want to see, a card that's weak to both Earthquake and Eddy. The two cards in my hand means that we can test for a Gorgon's Gaze, and failing that, we can just Earthquake the Ast Rabbit. They're going to go ahead and shuffle up the Grip and then pass back to us. A piece of back row is exactly what we want. We're going to go Edward, target that Ast Rabbit, set 1, and then we are going to try and get in for a fair amount of damage. That Necrof, of course, is enchanted correctly, so it will burn if it gets over, and it does. They're going to take 2 here off of this attack, but I assume that one of my Elestrals, at least, is not going to be long for this world because of the face-up Demeter. They're going to go for an Elechick, which is kind of brutal for me. It means that I'm never going to win combat on my opponent's turn ever again. But it also means that they're investing a lot of spirits into their individual Elestrals. Here, they're going to pump the Elechick and attempt to go to the battle phase. Probably not worth using the Gorgons on this, but I do it anyway, just because I think I'll be able to get a sick differential if I can keep hitting with this Necrof. We're going to go for a re-enchant on this Ast Rabbit here because we don't have another really good play, and there is our Kindleo. Wow. Okay, so for the rest of the game, any Fire Elestral just gets to threaten removal, which is disastrous in a simplified board state like this. Our opponent's going to bounce the Necrof with a shield. Very happy about that. I will definitely take the crash on this Eddy. Just keeping our opponent off Elestrals is kind of the name of the game here. They're going to draw for turn, and of course, remember that it's likely we'll be able to contest their normal cast with this PTA. They expend to draw. That is disastrous. They're going to go ahead and set 1 and then fire off an Ambro in order to get 3 back so they don't accidentally die from 5. A pretty reasonable concern when I've got Fire Elestrals in my deck. Theoretically could Kindleo and have a 2-attack Ast Rabbit on my side of the field. They're going to pass back here. We're going to recast this Necrof. Another one off the top. Sheesh. The attacks never end. And now I will commit to the Aggro Rabbit here just because I can't miss 2 damage off this. They will shield the Ast Rabbit, and I mean, this Ast Rabbit has just put in so much work over the course of this game. We do get in, put them at 5. This is a great position to be in, but is pretty weak to most normal cast Elestrals. Mustation is not so bad. They are going to be able to kill the Necrof here, but of course we can recast a Necrof, and they're going to go for a Falloy too. Just a little concerned and telegraphing a copy of Altar of Stars pretty badly, but now that our board is clear, the top decked Lavalith is going to make quick work of our opponent. I think we can probably go for one of the back row here rather than one of the face-up runes, and yeah, Gorgon's Gaze is a pretty good answer to that. Okay, well that means the Lavalith is going to fall to the Mustation, which will be at 7 because of the Falloy Forest, so we might as well Earthquake that and dare them to draw a dude off the top. Because they're so low on spirits, they're also going to cast off that Demeter here, which means that the follow-up Demeter we know they have set, if they commit to it, is going to be the last thing they can do. They draw an Ambro off the top, which is like annoying, but also not so bad because they need a threat, and they're about to take 3 off of this crackback attack. From here, any monster that comes down could be met with a Kindleo Nexus and immediately popped as well. It's just really impressive just how in control this deck gets in endgame scenarios. There's almost nothing that can box me out at this point. We're going to get in for 3. Even if one of those sets is a bluff Ambro and they draw a guy, I shudder to think of one that could beat Altar here. Equilinx is decent, but not enough. They're going to lose, and we are going to walk with it. So we're back with the deck, and wow, am I flaming. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1, it feels really good to have repeatable removal. Boombat has largely taken the place of Earthquakes in modern lists, but being able to attack afterwards is such an unbelievable plus. 2, we're kind of at the point where the card quality in Fire is good enough. Previously, they didn't even really have enough critters to crash together. Now the worst Elestral in the list is like Necrof. And 3, Argo is so unpredictable right now, people will not play around it and will absolutely get owned into a combat trick followed by a 3 damage swing off a Kindleo Nexus. And the cons. 1, it's weird to play. There's a lot of decision making at the macro level. Sometimes you want to be a Kindleo control deck. As in our game, sometimes you want to beat down with Necrofs, and assigning the wrong role is the difference between a win and a loss. 2, a lot of the cards you think would be a welcome addition to Fire actually aren't. Like Chains is the worst card in the world, but you kind of feel compelled to play it out of the board. And 3, Argo is so fucking expensive, man. Sometimes you just draw it in a simplified board state and think, there is just no way I'm paying 5 for this. All in all, this is a deck with nowhere to go but up. I'm sure Moonrise will make it better, but I think it's fine for now too.